Welcome back, everybody. I hope you enjoyed your little 10-minute break there, as the players have, as they're getting ready to play for your entertainment just around the corner. On the desk, though, at the moment, we do have In Control. Hello, In Control.
Hello.
Hello. Hello, Damazel.
Hello.
And hello, Vandas.
Howdy.
Howdy.
Gotta mix it up.
Mixing it up.
What a pro.
We have a great game coming your way. We'll talk about ShoWTimE and Nerchio in a second. We do have the bracket, though, as we've now completed quite a few games and making our way through this round of 32 bracket. We have 6 players now that are in the round of 16, which will begin tomorrow, bear in mind. But next couple of games coming up, it's going to be ShoWTimE versus Nerchio. Talk about that in a sec. Lobo versus Sort of. Valdez has been set to reporter.
Yeah, I got thrown down on this chair, and I'll make sure I keep you guys updated. Nothing much going on right now, just some
started,
drones
right?
mining. Yep.
Its first map just started.
Yeah.
You can check that on Base Trade TV if you do want to go watch that. But we are here for ShoWTimE versus Nerchio. In Control, you wrote an article that everyone, well, I don't know if everyone, I read it, or some of you guys read it as well.
You're a good man.
I did. I read it on the plane. It was the plane that was up and down on the way here.
Very good.
You called this the biggest match of the round of 32, and I think that's very safe to say.
I agree. I don't think
I agree
that's
myself.
super amazing statement. Both these players are near or at the top of their respective races in the European scene in particular. Nerchio has been really, I mean, he's just been one of the big household names for a while now, one of the few guys to win major tournaments that's not a Korean. And ShoWTimE has been big since pretty much Season 2, I want to say, of WCS last year, where he made...
France, he got top 4, I think.
I believe it was top 4.
So Season 1. Season 1.
Was it
France. He was in France, he did it.
Okay.
Season 1, I think.
So, I mean, it's just nice to see. And I guess because they've been rising to the top, they've been hitting each other quite a bit, so a bit of a rivalry here.
Yeah, two of the best players, really. I mean, there's obviously a lot of good players in Europe, but these are 2 of the best.
Absolutely. Not just of their respective races, but yeah, they are absolutely some of the best. Like when you see the ladder rankings, even though people can be like, oh yeah, it doesn't mean much, but when you had that ladder race for first place, there was Nerchio and ShoWTimE very, very highly up there, always with like 70% win rates, which on ladder, that's insanely hard to do.
Yeah.
Insanely hard.
Insanely hard.
Insanely hard. Have you done it?
One time.
One time, okay.
Have you done it? I was going to make it, yeah.
It's going to be a great game though, Valdez. I mean, you looked at the bracket too, you pointed out this, I mean, we all have.
Yeah, no surprise here. I think anyone looking at this really could have said the same. I mean, you got Major versus Snook coming up soon as well. That's definitely a looker. We'll have that on stream as well for you guys a little bit later. But this one definitely going to be a big one. Another PVZ. I'm looking at this objectively. I can't call a winner. If I had to, maybe ShoWTimE with the 3-2, but I think it's definitely going to be a 3-2.
Is it safe to say here, Ben, that it's these matchups for both the players, they're both very strong on it? Is it their strongest? Would you say that ShoWTimE's strongest against Zerg?
No, I wouldn't. Like,
no?
One thing about ShoWTimE, every tournament he goes into and he gets a row of Zergs, he seems to decimate all of them with really cool play. And his disruptor shots also, they're kind of out of this world. But he always seems to say, like, oh, Zerg, it's Imba. It's, like, really strong. But what we are going to see from both of these players is some of the absolute tip-top PVZ and how to do it from either side. So it's really cool.
All right, so let's go to you had Valdez's predictions. Ben?
Nerchio 3-1.
Boom.
Whoa.
Strong.
Ooh.
It's not very close at all.
That's a bold prediction.
It's actually a dominant win.
I think it'll be, I mean, Ben and I keep agreeing. I think it's going to be like a 3-1 Nerchio.
Okay. Wow. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Excited for this one. Let's go over to the caster team. We've got the finest casters.
Wow, thank you guys very much. You know what? These guys are just right about everything. I can't disagree with them on that one.
Especially the last line. You know, it's the first thing there where Apollo was really spot on today.
Yeah, I definitely say, they've been about 50-50, but definitely, the last second 50 came towards the end. So we are going to be bringing you guys ShoWTimE versus Nerchio. Great match.
Yeah,
we lucked out.
This is going to be a really good one. I think if you look at the round of 32, this is the one match that has stood out for most fans out there. You look at arguably the best Zerg in Europe going up against arguably the best Protoss in Europe, if not without a shadow, without top 3 of their respective races. So how can it not be good? It's really funny because, if you look at the Team Liquid Power rankings, I've been referring to this a couple times today already, but I just think it's fun. They had Nerchio at #1. Now, I think Nerchio is great. But the highest, or like the top favorite for the entire tournament, that's maybe a little bit too high.
It's a bit of a cheeky thing to say when you've got Pult and Hydra in the tournament. But I mean, if you're just looking beyond that point, because those guys have shown themselves to be vulnerable, especially in the last 2 months, whether it be DreamHack Leipzig or some of the qualifiers for these tournaments, like Nerchio is really high up there, but I think they also talked a bit about the ladder qualifier as well, which is where it gets interesting because you also have guys like Major that was pretty low on that list, who's also been on top of the EU ladder for quite some time.
And then we've got this guy that's spawning on the top side of Orbital Shipyard for the very first match of this amazing best of 5. It is, of course, the German Protoss ShoWTimE. And you know, Nate, when I think of ShoWTimE, I really did not think that there was anyone in Europe ShoWTimE would have a 1-9 record against in series. But he has.
Yeah, well, this guy loves to get in the minds of all of his opponents. From Team Euronics, we have Nerchio.
They actually went up against each other very recently in the NetEast qualifier. That's basically the qualifier for the Shanghai stop that will be happening later this month. And in that tournament, Nerchio was able to defeat ShoWTimE in that qualifier 2-1. Did not see the games, but you know, a 2-1 victory while also knowing that they would go up against each other here in such a big series. I mean, this is almost a tournament series on its own when it comes to the fact that this is $6,000 or nothing.
There's so much on the line in this first round of 32.
Yeah, like normally the only pay jumps that you see from $6,000 is semifinals into the finals. Other than that, you do not see these guys go up against each other for $6,000.
There's a ridiculous amount of money on the line here, and I always love seeing Nerchio against anybody when it comes down to like these tough spots because he is just so good, but also really good at varying his build orders and really getting inside your opponent's head. He's such a smart guy.
Well, this scout is already very important over here for ShoWTimE. He'll open up safe, and it's very important that he did because he's going to see the amount of gas that has been mined. He's going to see the spawning pool. He's like, okay, you actually dropped the pool before the hatchery over here. Now he's going to confirm that. But he obviously knows already, like every good Protoss player knows if you scout it this time, you see the amount of gas mined. Wow, you went pool into gas into an expand. Now often that means that your opponent is going to do something crazy, a little more than just a few links. This is not a safe opening, no, this is an aggressive opening for Nerchio.
And he has enough gas to throw out an Overlord or two for a quick drop if you wanted to really crank up the aggression as well.
Yeah, it could even be Banelings. That would be very strange, but that is an option as well. Something that we've seen a couple times even on this map is the Link Queen drop. I'm not sure what Nerchio is going to do with it, but I do assume that he's going to try to do something with it because this is just a very uneconomic opening for him that normally you don't want to play straight up macro from this point because why did you put yourself in this spot then if you want to play straight up macro?
Yeah, it is an interesting question. He does have a drone headed down towards the third base, so possibly looking to take this. Maybe he's trying to avoid the first probe scout. Maybe he doesn't want him to see that he's taking this third.
Yep, probe is actually not going to see it, so very well done there for Nerchio. I mean, maybe he's just throwing his opponent off here a lot. Hope that ShoWTimE's overreacting, maybe with like a triple gateway opening before some additional tech. That's normally, I think, what I would do, or at least one extra gateway. You know, doing this of one gate.
Don't be too greedy with your opening.
And then dropping a Stargate, that would be very risky. We can already see ShoWTimE is chrono boosting his gate. That's not something you normally do, and there we indeed see the 2 additional gateways go down. So maybe Nerchio is not going to be aggressive from this point on, and he just scared the hell out of ShoWTimE, saying like, hey man, early gas.
Get some extra gates, be afraid.
Yep, and this also means that the additional tech is going to be quite a bit later. We do see a Stargate go down, but this Stargate is a lot later than, you know, a Nexus verse into a Stargate immediately, because he also chrono boosted out 2 adepts, etc., etc.
Yeah, there's 3 adepts on the map, so gonna push 2 of them out now. Of course, they can 2-shot the Lings or 2-shot drones if they're able to get that far across, but
yeah, that's the downside again. Of course, I mean, right now at ShoWTimE, you don't want to run across the map with your 2 adepts because you know that your opponent can still be aggressive, so you want to be very careful with them. But Nerchio does not want to see those adepts make their way across the map right now because that would force him to make way more links, and he doesn't want to make more links because he already took a small economic hit early on by making, you know, the pool before the hatch, etc., etc.
So, I mean, Nerchio right now is just basically setting himself up. He does have Spore Crawlers on the way. The Overlord sees the Stargate. He's pretty aware of everything that's going on here. It is just so far looking to be just pretty much Phoenix.
There is a chance that maybe Nerchio would have been more aggressive if it wouldn't have got scouted. Maybe he thought that ShoWTimE is not going to scout on Orbital Shipyard because this is such a fair, straight-up map. But there was a probe scout, and maybe that's why Nerchio abandoned his plans. And at least he forced ShoWTimE into a relatively defensive opening. But overall, I like this for ShoWTimE. Like, if I was him right now, he's got 5 adepts. He's going to make these adepts send across the map. And this is actually going to be a little bit tricky already for Nerchio. The Roach one is kind of late. He's forced to produce a lot of Zerglings, and I'm not sure how many links are we currently looking at. It's like,
that's pretty tricky.
Yeah, that's not enough.
Map.
He needs way more. He needs like over 20 links easily.
There's 6 adepts teleporting now over to that third base, and especially if they get themselves caught up in some choke point between the mineral lines and the gas guys, so they can be very hard to take down. Meanwhile, the supply actually becoming a little bit of a tricky spot for Nerchio as ShoWTimE continues to pick off Overlords with those Phoenix.
No, I do love my Phoenixes, Nate. You know, Phoenixes, of course, are great for Protoss, especially I think on this map. It just gives you a very safe feeling. You can stabilize on your 3 bases and slowly but steady make your way over towards your 4th base. And I guess this game is just going to be dragged out here for a little bit. Hydra Den is going to be thrown down, so eventually we'll see lurkers. But the Spore Crawlers are late, so these Phoenixes should be able to find multiple openings to pick up maybe, you know, an Overlord.
These drones moving between the bases as well are big, juicy targets to pick off.
That's to fix his rally points. It doesn't make any sense. Drones from the turret. Wow, 1 Phoenix actually goes down. That's a mistake, but drones from the turret being sent to the natural, while drones from the natural are being sent towards the turret. That's not the way you want to do this.
It's there's a little bit of larva management issue going on here. Do you have the robotics facility on the way? He's going to start
There's a second robo,
one.
yeah.
You know, it was pretty interesting just seeing, like, even in Hux games against Pay, like, the crazy number of Immortals. Is ShoWTimE that kind of guy, or are we going to see him going to maybe just Disruptors? He's going to drop a Robo Bay after this?
Yeah, but probably just a multiple Immortals at first, and probably an Observer or 2 as well. You want to see the army move around. If your Phoenixes are somehow busy harassing, you want to make sure that nothing sneaks to the other side of the map. A lot of Queens, and I think one more Phoenix is actually, well, it will survive for now, but...
So we have Overlord speed on the way now as well to help keep track with those Hydralisks. The Hydralisk range and speed upgrade is also coming in.
I don't like this position that much for Nerchio though. He's stuck on 3 bases. He did take down the rock, so that's going to allow him to go up to 4 bases. He's morphing one of these Overlords, by the way, into a drop Overlord.
Yeah, that's where, just inside of his main base.
Wow. What is he going to drop, Nate? It's going to be a drone drop.
What? trying to get in my head, Kev?
Nah, not at all. But I mean, a lurker.
How are you gonna? I feel like just trying to pull off a drop like this while there's Phoenix sharking around, like it should never work.
Look at the amount of time that Nerchio has been supply blocked already in this game as well. This is kind of tricky. I guess he still has a couple of links, so you can maybe drop 8 links into the natural.
I guess send the links over after the Overlord gets there. But these Phoenix still chipping away at that drone count non-stop.
Yeah, they've done great, but still losing 2 Phoenixes, as Funka is showing us, that's not ideal though. Like that's something that ShoWTimE could have prevented. And if he has 2 more Phoenixes now, Phoenix is definitely a unit that snowballs, because if you only have 4 or 5 Phoenixes, they'll always be out of energy. You know, whenever a good player is flying around with them, he'll always find enough stuff to lift up. If you have 2 more Phoenixes, that really adds up. That could have been 8 potential more lifts in 2 minutes. So it's a little bit unfortunate for ShoWTimE. They lost 2 Phoenixes against, in all honesty, not that much NTA. You know, if you lose it when there are 25 Hydralisks on the map, nobody's going to blame you for it. But
against Queens.
Yeah, again, one against Queens and one against the Spore Crawler that's obviously not moving.
So there's that link drop coming over towards the right side. You pretty much said it earlier. Just a lot of Immortals have been pumped out now for ShoWTimE. He's going to charge Zealots as well. And I guess this just kind of gives you that beefy army that you need. The barrier for the Immortal is really, really good, especially if you don't, if you could use that barrier to soak up damage and then back out of the fight and let it regenerate as well.
I mean, this is going to be very nice because all of the units from ShoWTimE are out of position. He has no idea about this link drop that's about to occur. And of course, 8 links is not game ending, but it's annoying enough that it can get multiple kills. Wow, Phoenix is being mispositioned again. 2 more will go down. Nerchio with excellent defense so far, but I truly feel this is more on the Protoss player than it is on the Zerg player. The Zerg player can only hope for mistakes of the Protoss player because Phoenixes are faster.
Yeah, Phoenix are so fast, you really shouldn't be able to get those hits off on them, so definitely nice. 3 more drop Overlords.
He's keeping the links, by the way, in the right top side of the map. He hasn't dropped them yet. I think he wants to drop them while he's going to apply some pressure on the 4th base of ShoWTimE, which is kind of smart.
Force him to stress out that multitasking a little bit more, especially if he's got 3 more drop Overlords. Very interested to see what kind of play he's going to try to make. Maybe use one as a distraction. I'm not entirely sure, to be honest.
I've seen lurker drops, but I do not think that this is going to be a game where we will see lurker drops. One observer does get picked off. I mean, the Hydra count is high, but is it high enough to really take a fight on the other side of the map against that many gateways? Is charge done already? I guess it is, right? Because he's warping in more. Yes, it is. Okay, with lurkers, is after.
There are quite a few. Oh, there's that Overlord with his lings loaded inside. That does get caught by the Phoenix, so very nice job. Going to be able to shut this drop down, and 1 survivor. So guys.
If the Phoenix lifted up, so
he thought he got away.
That's the guy who survived an airplane crash, but then somehow.
Yeah, there's a horror movie when you think you're the only guy that survived.
Wahoo, that's a
Those lurkers, a pretty good shot off on those zealots.
Yeah, Nerchio already being maxed out. I'm a little bit worried for ShoWTimE because I don't see a real answer to the lurkers though. Like unless he gets a magnificent engagement, and maybe this is it, Nate. Maybe this is the fight he was looking for.
I mean, these lurkers are pretty clumped up. The Immortals with a great arc on top of this, and the Observer in position. They chew down the lurkers, but the Hydra's hitting from the north. The Zealot reinforcements, not too many of them with that backbone. Most of the barriers have been burned. Can the Hydras actually finish the job?
Well, I mean, they're taking out all the Immortals, so even if these Hydras will end up dying, which they will not for now, he just took down 5-6 Immortals and Nerchio.
That fight. You know, I thought, you know, with the lurkers were so clumped up that they couldn't really make the best use of their line attack when we have 4 random Hydras just kind of hanging in the air over there. But the fact that the Hydras were able to hit that concave from the top side after there were no more barriers for the Immortals as well.
Kind of a strange game because normally you did not expect this to play out the way it did. Nerchio did not have a great economic start. He lost quite a few drones, but he just made a couple lurkers. He ran across the map, and this is Orbital Shipyard, the best Protoss map currently in the Protoss map pool. And it just seemed like ShoWTimE underestimated the amount of lurkers he would go up against. Didn't have enough splash damage, you know. No Disruptors, no Colossus, no Storm. Well, then you need a really phenomenal engagement against lurkers, and it looked great, promising, but it was not enough.
Yeah, losing the robotics facility also really hurts that, and the mortal production quite limited. One's going to come from the top of the ramp. The Zealots will charge in with the Archon to try to break this contain that Nerchio's had in that third base, but Lurkers standing strong, Hydralisk standing strong, and Nerchio looking good in game number 1 despite having 4 Hydralisks on strike in that drop. Overlord, Kev.
Wow, GG, very convincing victory by Nerchio in game number 1. Not the type of game I expected at all, because it really felt that things were going all right for ShoWTimE. I think maybe after the opening he faced, he should have committed with the Adepts, because I feel even a bad trade with those Adepts, it's still going to be good for you, because you're going to get
built
like...
them so early, too.
Yeah, and you're going to get 4, 5, 6, 7 drones guaranteed. Or you'll force out so many links that you technically kill drones, because all those links are not drones.
The larva waste equivalent of killing all those drones. Very interesting. Just a couple of things there that was like, man, you know, that fight that could have gone so badly for Nerchio as well in the Northeast with all the lurkers burrowing at once.
But I mean, before that fight, I was kind of worried though, because there was no super real answer to the lurkers. There were not that many Archons, and normally you could say, you know, the Phoenixes from the early game, they can still help out, right? They can fly in and lift up a couple lurkers. Well, that wasn't the case either, because he lost 4 out of the 7 Phoenixes already. So just having 3 Phoenixes is normally not enough.
Yeah, lifting up a few of them definitely would have helped a lot more in that fight as well.
I'm definitely a little bit worried for ShoWTimE right now. You know, if game number 1 plays out like that on the best Protoss map, where, you know, if you look at that game, Nerchio didn't really do anything spectacular or anything super crazy.
No, I mean, he almost got a bit fancy with the drop play, but even then we didn't get to see that be used in any positive way. In fact, he lost the 1-drop Overlord with 7 Lings in it as well.
And it's also kind of hard. This is obviously a very big series. We've been talking about it all day, and we will keep talking about it because this is unique. We've never casted round of 32s for $6,000. And if game number 1 plays out like that, I can definitely see it go to your head a little bit. It's just like... because nothing happened in this game.
It's not like ShoWTimE made any big flops aside from just that loose Phoenix control, but even then, it was still relatively okay outside of that.
And I think you can agree with me that the most frustrating losses out there are the type of games where not much is happening, not much is happening, not much is happening. One big fight, I just lost the game. Like, those are the most frustrating games out there. You spend 11, 12 minutes building up that army, and then it just ends, and you just like... You know, these games are really frustrating right now.
What am I fighting for?
Yeah. So we'll see how it plays out in game number 2, but not a great start for ShoWTimE.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, mechanically it looked pretty solid, but that engagement thing just went so wrong.
It was kind of weird though, because a lot of the Hydras, we didn't really see it, but they were even on the north side of that battle. They were not even really participating. They were taking out a couple Zealots, I guess, but it felt that was the best possible fight for ShoWTimE, and it was still not enough.
Yeah, we are loaded into Prion Terraces for map number 2, and of course that is our German player in the Northwest, currently down 0-1 in this best of 5, ShoWTimE.
Has his work cut out for him. Probably not super happy with the draw of this man, of course, the Polish Zerg, one of the 3 hometown heroes in this tournament. It is Nerchio, wrapping that new jersey, or hoodie, I guess it is.
Yeah, neat logos, neat branding.
Does the same opening again, by the way. It's just that very quick extractor followed up with that very quick spawning pool.
Do you think he'll commit more to it this time, though, considering that denying the gold base on the Protoss might be a good way to start this game? Or do you see it just still kind of being that maybe not?
Of course, this is very different, right? Because on Orbital, you have a pocket expansion, and on Prime Terraces, you don't have a pocket expansion. So if Nerchio decides to make a lot of Zerglings, that could become very annoying for ShoWTimE. And if he ends up losing the natural, like you said, Nate, you're not just losing a natural, you're losing a gold natural.
Yeah.
That's like twice as bad, man.
Doesn't feel good, especially when you consider just how Zerg scales off of the gold base, is you don't need gas to get the production up.
So he scouts it, but he still drops this very early. So I guess he's going to go for an almost full wall up, where he will just leave space for one Zealot or one Adept over here in the natural. I would be very surprised if he keeps everything exposed over here on the low ground.
Yeah, the probe is getting ready to drop a pylon, so we'll see exactly how it gets set up. Nerchio does start up his Zergling speed. And this is definitely also one of those maps where that drop play can be very useful as well on that right side. You just have so much space, you have to build like 2 or 3 pylons to cover all the vision of the areas where you could get fast ling dropped.
I mean, at least it wasn't a Nexus first for ShoWTimE. That would be a lot more annoying. I think that's when you start really panicking. It is possible to hold, though, even against the 12 pool, but you know, it gets ugly. You're going to lose buildings, you're going to stop pro production for a while, you're going to be playing a guessing game a little bit, you have to worry about links being dropped in your main base, so he will have access to units relatively quickly, and it seems like Nerchio is just going to go back to droning again. I'm kind of surprised by this, Nate. Like, Nerchio is playing like the most fair way of ZvP ever, you know? Like, on ladder, you always face 3 hatch before a spawning pool, and you just feel like if you open up with a 1 gate, it's like, oh man, this is going to be a rough game. Nerchio is playing a very, very fair game, which I think if you're ShoWTimE, you should be kind of happy with.
It's not something and he has to worry about. No super, big trickery coming in. The probe comes to check that gold base. And I love this. Nerchio did this twice where he kind of hides that drone by the third. And this game, boom, right there, straight for the gold. And ShoWTimE, he doesn't know. You
know, this is indeed a very cute play. I 100% agree. But just to put things in perspective, right, because not everybody is a ZvP expert or plays this matchup all the time. If a Zerg player goes 3 hatch before the spawning pool, they drop their 3rd hatchery at 1 minute and 20 seconds. Right now it went down at 3:05. Like, that is a super big difference. In StarCraft 2, on pro level, like 1 minute and 40 seconds. That is insane, you know, the amount of economic difference that makes. It's really hard to even put that in numbers, but it's strange to see this opening, but it worked out very well for Nerchio in game number 1, so, you know, who am I to be surprised by it?
Yeah, he's just taking no chances, to say the least. We do have that Oracle on the way. Much faster Overlord speed this game, so maybe the drop play comes in a bit more quickly. Maybe we see no units left behind.
And this time it is an Oracle as an opening. I do kind of like that if you open up with a fast target. Like, I love Phoenixes probably more than any Protoss should ever love Phoenixes, but I think sometimes opening up with 1 Oracle and then going into Phoenixes makes sense, because Phoenixes, you know, it takes a time. Like, 1 Phoenix does nothing other than killing that scouting overlord, and 2 Phoenixes, well, you can pick up 1 drone, maybe 2, and 3 Phoenixes, you pick up a few more drones, and then when you have 4 Phoenixes, you can maybe go for a queen. But if you have 1 Oracle and it finds an exposed mineral line, that's 6-7 drones that will go down, so it's definitely worth it.
The opportunity is huge, and the Oracle is going to come in, grab a drone or 2 now, going between those bases. Of course, getting those workers off the gold base is going to delay a substantial amount of economy.
Oh, look at this, though. 5 roaches on the production tab before layer.
Now, there's no evolution chamber, right? So it can't make any use. Or did he cancel? He didn't even finish Overlord speed, did he?
No, he did.
Okay. So
maybe just against the Phoenixes.
Surprised. Yeah, maybe. I guess pulling back against Phoenix is nice. I wanted to see some drops.
I guess he's worried about maybe 4 or 5 adepts making their way across the map, because if ShoWTimE would have been building up adepts all the time.
That's true. He had a lot of adepts in the last game. Maybe he was worried about him basically committing this time with those adepts.
Yeah. Oh, 7 more drones. Nerchio picking up that probe that was supposed to drop an additional Nexus for ShoWTimE is very nice, especially because ShoWTimE is supply blocked. Look at the money, you know, 550, 600
Yeah, he was
minerals.
ready to build that Nexus.
Yep, he wants to build the Nexus. There are still Lings on the left side of the map trying to prevent this. They're going to go for the probe again.
Micro.
That's very good for Nerchio, man. These look like small pickups, but this is extremely annoying.
He's going to send out another probe. Look at that double robotics facility starting up.
This is that moment where you give up. It's like, okay, I really want to start spending my money.
And the probe finally makes it, finally gets to begin that. I think we had a stasis ward dropped as well on the edge of the creep, so that ShoWTimE can kind of keep tabs on if Nerchio leaves his base. So at the same time, grabbing a few more drone kills here. These queens don't want to lose those Phoenix they did last game. The front spore is really nice.
Yep, this is not nice though. 2 Phoenixes very low on HP. Both do survive, but that's just not what you want to see either. You don't want to have 2 red HP Phoenixes, because then you're very afraid to go back in.
Yeah, so just continuing to build up those Phoenix, 3rd base, and
I
guess
that 1 Ling is going to trigger the trap.
Nice. denying any value out of that stasis ward.
Man, I'm worried. I really think if Nerchio just makes a very old school Roach Hydra attack, I'm not even talking Lurkers right now, I'm just talking straight up Roach Hydra. I am not sure if ShoWTimE can deal with it, man. Like, just look at the units that ShoWTimE will have. Multiple Immortals,
but...
but...
a lot of Hydras coming out.
Yeah, like, I don't even think you need a Lurker then this game, Nerchio. I think if you just make a lot of Roaches, or a couple of Roaches, a lot of Hydras, wait for +1 to finish, wait for your Hydra upgrade to finish, and you march across the map, I am not sure how ShoWTimE is ever supposed to fight an army like that.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be one of those weird situations where a lot of it's going to come down to the positioning as well, which pylons get overcharged, assuming the attack comes, of course.
Look at Nerchio, he's relatively low when it comes to the drone department, 53, and he's still making units.
Yeah,
so I think he's just going to go for it, man.
I'm
Roach
sold,
Hydra.
Roddy. I'm sold.
Old school, Wings of Liberty, baby.
And this was always that thing that you worried about when you opened with Phoenix, was the threat of your opponent going for that big Hydralisk counterattack, and that certainly seems to be what the big name of the game is going to be today.
Yeah, of course, we have more information than Nerchio has. He does drop the Lurker then now. Like, he doesn't see what we see. But I think if he would see ShoWTimE's army, I really think he could just go for it. He's starting to spread creep a little bit aggressively. There are units marching across the map over here in the middle. They're probably just going to test the waters a little bit. I mean, the Hydra upgrades are done. +1 is almost done. And this is still scary, man. Look at this army. This is not an intimidating army.
That's nothing, Roddy. This is two Immortals, the Sentries. The Force Fields could buy him a lot of time, though. It's not like there's any Ravagers here to break those. And the third Immortal comes in, really good anchor as well.
Okay, Phoenix is still being annoying. Phoenixes would be great to intercept a couple of the reinforcements. You know, Hydras being sent across the map one by one if they're exposed. They're easy targets for these Phoenixes.
Yeah, so still great at striking around and picking off.
What is happening in the main base? Is that a link drop?
Yeah, it looks like a link drop hit inside of the main base. He's still kind of running around, 6 lings loaded in there, as the pylon overcharge was used as well.
Yep, and even if this looks like it's not doing anything, it is actually, because he's forcing defensive warpins in the main base, and those are units that are not participating in this battle right now.
Solid hold on the third base, though. The force fields blocked out most of them, and those Immortals were able to get to work. Lurker Den is almost ready, though.
Yeah, the force fields were good. I have no idea.
What are you doing? Stab. Stab?
That is a misclick.
Yeah. Well, Mothership Core managed to accidentally walk somewhere that was kind of safe, so. Whew. 3 more drop overlords. Last time Nerchio did this, he did nothing with them and then won the game after leaving 4 Hydralisks behind, so.
He just got a nice upgrade for the Hydra's home.
Yeah, maybe he knows something we don't.
It is nice and comfy inside of an Overlord, Nate.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree with that.
I mean, multiple Hydras could morph into Lurkers very soon, and that puts us in a similar scenario to what we saw on Orbital, where...
Yeah, very similar type of push.
Where it's just going to be immortal. It will really come down to the Archons, right? The Archons can do a lot of damage, but they just need a good engagement. And the Zealots need to have a good engagement as well. You need to try to keep the Zealots alive. He does have multiple sentries this time, so Guardian Shield can definitely help. Guardian Shield is excellent against Hydralisk.
Yeah, so let's see. The position is continuing to move forward. Do you have a drop loaded up? Okay, so it's going to be
Lurker dropped.
Maybe onto the high ground? Or just a drop into the main base? Wow, that's a pretty cheeky drop. That's a lot of supply in there.
Lurker drops, man. Phoenixes are all out of position. He's probably seen it as well, these Phoenixes flying around in the main base. And this is going to be a tricky drop. A lot of gateways could get unpowered.
Imagine if he gets Lurkers near the ramp or the mineral line. That's a really scary spot to be in.
I think unpowering 3, 4, 5 gateways is already a victory by itself. This is going to be very annoying to defend for ShoWTimE.
All right, Lurkers are going to burrow inside of the main base. The Hydras are here as well to rip these Zealots apart. Mothership Core does move up with some overcharges, but there's the big push now coming over towards the gold base on the left side. Lurkers are burrowed by the Nexus, and this pathing can be blocked a little bit for the Zealots and Archons too.
The Lurkers will be annoying in the main, but they're not in a super devastating spot. Will ShoWTimE be able to break the Lurkers this time? It actually seems like he is, and the Queens were too late to the party. No transfuses went down, and this was actually a much better hold for ShoWTimE.
Nerchio just got wrecked. That supply difference is absolutely massive, and the Zealot counterattack at the same time. 12 drones died during this. Well, this game swung pretty fast.
Yeah, this went really fast. Nerchio maybe getting a little too fancy there with his 8 Hydra drop and 2 Lurkers. It looked very annoying, but dropping Hydras in range of Photon Overcharge. The Mothership Core found its way back home, by the way. Maybe dropped some breadcrumbs or something and found its way back.
I don't know.
And that Photon Overcharge, especially if Hydras are being unloaded one by one, they'll pretty much die one by one.
9 Immortals on the map. It's quite a powerful force here, Roddy.
And I also think that, like with the main push, Nerchio had maybe 2, 3 Lurkers, but I feel Lurkers is also a unit that snowballs. Like 1 or 2 Lurkers often doesn't make the difference. Like either you go all out on the Lurkers, like he kind of did on Orbital, you know, where he had close to 10, or you may as well just make roaches and hydras.
Yeah, just trying to crank out as many lurkers as possible to try to get the ultimate defensive position against this, proccing out one of the barriers, but the rest of the lurkers aren't even done
ready,
yet.
Man. Yeah, he's not ready.
You need a lot more time to get ready for this. Now ShoWTimE is going to push forward just with so many Immortals, and there is a pretty reasonable arc here for the lurkers to attack this army from multiple directions as it pushes in, but I feel like there's just so much for ShoWTimE.
Yeah, I love how ShoWTimE is kind of careful with all of his units as well. If you just A-move, this is why he's using hold position. If you just A-move, the Zealots will run too far away, they'll run up the ramp, and suddenly you lose your meat shield, and then the Immortals are a little bit exposed. Excellent control here by ShoWTimE, and just like that, he will even up this series 1-all.
Nice moves here by ShoWTimE. I also love you mentioning they use the hold position as well, because it also prevents your observers from running forward into the Hydras, and then all of a sudden those lurkers get a lot more powerful when they're invisible.
Yep. Very interesting game so far, like not the type of games that I expected between these two. It just seems like in game number 1 it felt like things could have gone well for ShoWTimE, but he lost in a very decisive manner, which if you look at the game, it's still kind of weird. And game number 2, you look at the openings, like I think ShoWTimE might be able to make something happen over here, but then it's just a very easy hold for him, and Nerchio getting a little bit too overeager with his Hydra drop.
What was the biggest difference then, you feel, in terms of how that fight was taken? Was it Nerchio pushing up onto the high ground versus the low ground engagement on Orbital, or was there just not enough lurkers because of the split off?
Yeah, I feel like the first time that Nerchio went for the attack, he lost a bunch of units, but he didn't really commit to the attack. Like, he made roaches and hydras, but he was still tacking up as well and getting additional drones. So I feel like if you don't really want to commit, I don't think there's a need for you to run across the map. And also, when the final fight happened on Orbital, he had a crazy amount of lurkers, and on Prion he had like 3 lurkers with the big fight. And supply in the main.
Yeah, it did seem like he had a lot less. We're going to hear what the boys in the analysis desk think of this series so far, and also catch up on what's going on in the other matches.
Thank you very much, Nathanius. Yes, the other match currently going on is Lilbo versus Sort of. And Valdez, you've been watching it.
Yeah, there's a lot of fireworks going on in this one. Sort of got off to a 2-0 start. He's about to lose game 3 right now. I'm watching it right here, but the first one he goes for a Roach Sling all in. It works kind of. He damages Lilbo enough to force a Blinkstalker all in, which fails just barely. So lost the first one there. Second one looked like a lot of Korean ZvPs, which is like very passive up until the Zerg gets lurkers, and right before then the Protoss tries to hit and destroy the Zerg, but it doesn't work. And all of a sudden enough Zergs, lurkers come out, and then they just decimate the Protoss army that isn't equipped to handle it.
And then game 3 was on Orena, our favorite map, of course.
Yeah, we saw a Overlord drop double. It didn't work, and Lilbo defended and just went for a big gateway all in on 2 base, and it worked.
Right,
so it's 2-1 right now for Sort of.
Still in it, Lilbo. Very tense moment there. But this game we've been watching here in Control and the Muslim, it's high level. It's 2 of the best players going at each other, and now it's 1-1. And very similar to how we predicted it. It is hard to tell which way this is swinging.
Both games played out fairly similarly. A lot of, both games with Phoenix openings followed by Charge Lot Double Immortal. We're kind of seeing that quite a bit. Although game 2 is dictated a little bit by that map. A lot of the gold bases makes for some different things there. I thought actually ShoWTimE was a little bit of trouble because he had a tough time getting his 3rd up and running.
Yeah.
But he just had a much better grasp of the composition. He was doing a much better job of defending the harass. I like the drop stuff we're seeing from Nerchio. That was really cool. And then I like what the guys at the cast desk are talking about. Very subtle army control thing. When going charge lots, it's very easy. In fact, if you want a good example of it, just watch any of my games, where you just kind of move them and they'll just run about. They're like, well, let's go for it. And then they just go die by themselves.
Yeah.
Immortals without a meat shield and not properly controlled are actually pretty terrible. They're supply dense, their attack rate's fairly slow, and of course they do extra damage to armored, but in general, not super amazing. But if you can keep them buffered really well, they'll put out that damage, and that was something ShoWTimE was able to do to great effect in that game too.
And it's like, preserving the Immortals, preserving the lurkers from both sides here.
Yeah, totally. Also, one thing that I found kind of weird about the matchup so far, the Zerg won on Orbital Shipyard, which is considered kind of Protoss map, and then ShoWTimE came back on Prion Terraces, Zerg map. So they're both going tit for tat, like in a really high-pressure matchup here.
All right, so let's continue that high-pressured matchup. Of course, $6,000 on the line between both of them and a position in the round of 16. One of them, ShoWTimE or Nerchio, will be eliminated. Let's continue with the casters.
Thank you very much, boys. Just good, solid start to the series so far. I like to mention the map swap based on which races were normally preferred.
I'm actually surprised about that other series, man. It's a series that I would love to watch.
Mechanics Bergman, man, he's going ham.
I know if I was sitting at home right now, it would be feet at the desk, double monitor, all the way, and I'd be watching two amazing PvZs at the same time. But sort of taking a 2-0 lead over Lilba, that's definitely pretty surprising. But that series being 2-1 right now, perhaps still anybody's game, but amazing for sort of.
Yeah, that's very, very interesting results we've got here so far at the WCS Winter Championship. Of course, we're loaded in now to game number 3 in this PvZ series. It's best of 5 in the bottom left. We've got the red Protoss player tying things up. He is ShoWTimE.
Has been very solid in the European scene for a long time. Always gets a lot of love from his European colleagues. Everybody hypes up ShoWTimE. A bad performance or not, a bad tournament run or not, everyone always says ShoWTimE is really, really good. But of course, the same goes for this guy. He may be a little less liked, but he is incredibly good at StarCraft. This is, of course, Nerchio, who is once again going for
that cheeky build.
Yeah, going for gas first into a pool. That's so surprising to me.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't even like one of those 2-player maps, right? So it's not like he's concerned about needing this in some sort of defensive posture, unless he knows ShoWTimE to do some really crazy stuff. What do you feel about this wall setup?
Yeah, it's interesting to say the least.
First pylon down there, and your first gate over there.
This could get tricky against a lot of links, but at least he's opening up with a gate once again, and it's not Nexus first. If he would have gone Nexus first and Nerchio would have made a whole bunch of links of this gas first opening, I think he would be in trouble, but that's not the case.
I really like that you keep bringing that up, because I feel like while this seems like Nerchio's kind of opening in a way that's not ideal economically, he is giving himself the opportunity to really go for ShoWTimE's throat early on if ShoWTimE cuts any corners. And if you're ShoWTimE, it's kind of weird. You're thinking about picking your builder. You're like, you know what? I know that this guy will abuse me if I cut a corner. You're sitting there just trying to be all nice. He's watching you. He's like, don't worry, I'm not playing too greedy.
I mean, on any other map than Dust Towers, there's no way in hell I would go Nexus first against a Nerchio who open up with gas first 3 games in a row. I think on Dust Towers you can still get away with it, but it still gets a little ugly, like I said.
I think that's one of the coolest things, though, is that Nerchio does have that abusive capability. You think about, I always think back to series and Heart of the Storm against guys like 4GG, where he's like, oh, I know that you're going to play certain stuff. And he'll do the same all-in 5 games in a row if he thinks you're just going to be greedy against him.
This is interesting as well, of course, because we have vertical spawning locations. That makes Runes of Ceres a very interesting map, to say the least. A build that has been popular has been that Queen drop, the Queen Link drop.
Oh, yeah.
And if the Protoss, the way that it works, in my opinion, is if Protoss goes for 1 gateway into tech building, and whether that tech building is a Twilight or Robo, or a Stargate, you just don't have enough units. However, if the Protoss opens up with a Mothership Core and 3 gateways, they will have enough, and then it's a free win. So I don't think that Nerchio wants to risk it. I mean, this is a very big tournament for Nerchio, of course. He's playing in Poland. The very first tournament that Nerchio actually ever played, offline tournament, was in Poland as well. Those were the BattleNet Championships a long, long time ago. The one that Red won and Naniwa was the runner-up.
That's ancient history to me, Roddy.
2011, I think, in Warsaw. So I'm sure that Nerchio has always dreamed of winning a big tournament in Poland.
I mean, it's such an accomplishment for these guys. You think about, especially, you got Mana still in it as well.
Yeah, and Elazer tomorrow. Elazer is going to be playing against Bly in the ZvZ series, and the very same Elazer recently went 9-0 in ZvZ. I thought you had to be Jaedong and Brood War to go 9-0 in that matchup. That's insane to me. So I'm curious to see how he will do. But of course, for now, all eyes on Nerchio, who once again is just playing, normal from this point, but it just seems so uneconomic.
Yeah, not taking any risks at all, so it would seem. We do have that Stargate opening again from ShoWTimE. He really seems to be favoring this, even this blind spore coming out of Nerchio before the Stargate even began.
The only thing I can say, Nate, is that I've been way ahead of the meta once again with my Phoenix against it.
I just don't know what to say.
I mean, I can't blame ShoWTimE. I think if you don't open up with a Stargate, I think a lot of Protoss players are just very worried about A, the lack of map presence and lack of map vision, and B, Mudalisk. Those are just 2 things that Phoenixes will not make you worry about it. This time he did it with 3 gateways again, so it's very similar to what we had on Orbital. He's making multiple adapts again. Is he going to be cheeky with it this time? Will he commit? He has not committed. If you compare, for instance, these games to Hux games.
You're right, because you have a guy like ShoWTimE who opens up with a 5 to 6 adapts, and then he's kind of like, meh, whatever. Then you've got Hulk who's like, oh, I've got 3 adapts, let me just kill 7 or 8 drones.
And, hey, that went really well. Let's do it again with 12,
Yeah, exactly. And just kind of scale it up.
And I feel with 7 adapts, this is really anomalous. I cannot imagine that ShoWTimE keeps them at home. Well, he does.
Yeah.
7 adapts. He keeps them at home.
Hey, for me, this is like, oh, I opened with 2 Banshees and just never moved out with them. It's like, come on.
I mean, third base is not late. I don't want to call it late yet for ShoWTimE, but we are approaching the 5-minute mark, and this is most of the time when you want to throw this base down as a Protoss. Like, very quick would be 4 minutes and, you know, nothing. But just 4 minutes sharp. If you play with a Stargate, it's pretty much always 4 minutes and 30 seconds, no matter how economic you're playing. So 5 minutes makes sense. This time he did try to do something, but Nerchio with his safety roach, well, that's more than safety roaches, Nate. He's actually going to run across the map. I think ShoWTimE needs a Void Ray. I think against this, I would love to see a Void Ray.
Yeah,
he canceled the Nexus.
He needs something pretty crazy right now. I mean, just to think about it like this way, he's going for Overlord speed as well, so he might be trying to follow this up with some further shenanigans.
I'm
like
not crazy, right?
Around?
He dropped the Nexus, correct?
Yeah. Yeah,
Wow.
he had it on the way for sure.
That is a big cancel, man. He's showing a lot of respect to this push of Nerchio.
Yeah, he only lost 2 units. He has a lot of resources lost, so definitely we are not wrong. The Roaches are going to be pushed back a little bit here. That is that overcharged pylon. Not too many more pylons, though, behind this, so that one gets picked off. Mothership Core's got energy for days, but the Roaches are actually still getting some work done here.
I would have really loved to see a Void Ray, Nate. I think one Void Ray would have made his life quite a bit easier here. Even if those Queens make their way across the map, the Phoenixes could have lifted up those Queens. You know, now ShoWTimE, you can say like, well, ShoWTimE is holding, right? Well, is he really holding? Like, he's a 2-base Protoss.
He's like, okay, he didn't take too much damage,
Yeah.
but what did he give up in exchange to be able to hold this?
And
Quite
it's not,
a bit.
yeah, and it's not like he's got a phenomenal infrastructure going. Just now, the robotics facility is going down. Double Robo this. The Forge just finished up, but he doesn't have a single upgrade. And he doesn't have a Twilight console either, so...
5 spores on the way,
Yeah.
just saying, nope, you're not going to get any damage done against me with those Phoenix. Not today, not
Like-
this game.
Being down 11 workers and 2 base against 3, I don't consider that really holding. Like, I think Nerchio has achieved exactly what he wanted.
Now, ShoWTimE does start that 3rd base up again, but you're right, Kev, and we're going to have those robotics facilities finishing up not too much faster than that Lurker Den, and that's going to be a lot less Immortals to work with if Nerchio does go for, you know, a sharp Lurker timing, as it were.
Nerchio has to be careful though that he doesn't take too much damage of these Phoenixes, because his economy is not phenomenal either. Like, it's decent, but it's not...
I am curious.
Great.
Nerchio did go for this Lurker Den before getting the muscular augments, right? He
Yes.
doesn't have the Hydra upgrade,
Nope.
so this is possibly just set around hitting with as fast as possible with those Lurkers.
Making 7 more drones, really wants to get a decent economy going. I'm a little bit surprised that Nerchio is pulling drones away from Phoenix harassed. I kind of think that if Phoenixes really want to kill your drones, they'll always kill them, you know? So pulling drones away, yeah, I don't really see. Like against the Oracle, obviously you want to do that, but against Phoenixes, I'm not too sure.
It's kind of hard to work your way around that position. So these Phoenix are still being annoying. We do have the Lurker Den finishing up. We have double Immortal production. +1 is on the way.
Phoenix is definitely evening out this game. I was definitely pretty worried about ShoWTimE's position, but now I like it a little bit more. He's still down 7 workers, but he's done a very reasonable amount of damage with these Phoenixes.
Nice little queen grab here.
And he's not even done it. I guess that was the one downside of the position that Nerchio was in. He didn't have any mobile anti-air, so at that point you can just make more and more Phoenixes, and that's exactly what ShoWTimE did for a while. And even though he was in a rough spot, those Phoenixes even things up.
Yeah, they've gotten quite a bit of work done here inside of this base so far.
2,300 resources lost already for
Feels
Nerchio.
good, man. And they're going to actually get a few more Overlords here. Not this many you're usually able to get with that.
Yeah, Nerchio has to fix his
7 picked
his
up.
rally points a
Like
little
normally
bit.
we expect an Overlord to die here or there, but 7 is
3,
actually a bit excessive.
If I get 3 Overlords with my Phoenixes, I'm happy. And then if you fly into their main bases and you pick off 2 more, that's like awesome, man. I killed like 5. But
he's gotten some cash money kills.
And especially, you have to take into consideration that Nerchio invested into Overlord speed, so he's supposed to not lose those Overlords. So losing 8 or 7, whatever he lost, is definitely too many. He's attacking without the Hydra upgrade, and
It's going to be pretty tricky to make this work if he gets force field off. There's a lot of sentry energy available, so getting caught could be a game-ending tier punishment against him.
yeah, ShoWTimE needs a little bit more time, but he does have 2 Archons over there. I'm worried for this push of Nerchio. I'm not sure how much I'm liking it. He's
got 7 lurkers to try to make this work, and he's going to be
Any observers?
right
Yeah,
up
one.
in the front of his base.
1 observer. I love that little creep highway as well. That's the only creep threat we currently have for Nerchio. I mean, okay, that is a very scary amount of lurkers. It always looks so much more scary once they're actually burrowed.
Yeah, those big spiky behemoths. say the least. Very, very difficult to deal with. And now the Mothership Core is out of energy. Hydra's encroaching on the left side where there are no pylons to cover this base.
Well,
and that third base economy is, those probes aren't mining anymore.
What a sharp attack for Nerchio. At first I wasn't too sure about it, but now when I actually see it being set up over here, it's like, oh, this is going to be one hell of a hold for ShoWTimE if he manages to pull it off. He's going to do his absolute best, though, Nate.
Yeah, he's going to step in. Here we have the Phoenix going for the lifts up. A couple of the lurkers do get raised out of the ground, but the Immortals continue to press him. We have the Queens here to get the transfuses at the same time, and those lurkers, of course, when dropped, they're still burrowed, so a few more shots do come out, but Nerchio, he's still getting a lot of work in here, but the Immortals are all standing strong.
The Immortals survive, and a couple of Zealots were trapped behind those Immortals.
And that third base with 51 hit points.
That is an amazing hold there for ShoWTimE. That looked very difficult.
And 2 more Overlords die, too.
He did such a good job. He even said,
the sigh of relief, he's like, God. Yeah. He's like, if I lost that third base, this would have been like, had to be trigger the all-in. If you're Nerchio, what do you even do? You sort of like throw something at that Nexus? It's so close to dying.
Yeah, you can try to sneak around, but I just don't think that's gonna work. This is tricky, man. I mean, it's still a close game. Look at the supplies. It's 128 against 126, but Nerchio is not happy. He wanted to do more with that push. He lost all of the Queens as well. He's gonna try to deny the fourth base over here, and he will not succeed in doing so.
So nothing's really going well for Nerchio right now. He's got 22 Hydras, 1 Lurker, and against 8 Immortals and all these Archons that keep getting warped in.
Beautiful patience being displayed by ShoWTimE, though. When that push arrived, at first I didn't like the move that much from Nerchio. Then he burrowed all the lurkers. I was like, oh my god, this looks really scary. Hydra's gonna go for it, Nate. He clicks on that Nexus and he will get it.
Alright, so finally managing to pick that off, but still at the cost of quite a few Hydralisks from this pushing Protoss army.
Yeah,
and more Overlords!
Might just trigger, actually, ShoWTimE to run across the map. I think Nerchio's a little bit nervous. He has lost a ridiculous amount of Overlords. That's very uncharacteristic.
How many Overlords has he lost?
I think 11 by now.
Yeah, that's pretty sick. Yeah, 11 Overlords. Yeesh. With an Overseer as well. It's 1,200 minerals of supply opening there. So
ShoWTimE has to be a tiny bit careful, though, because I'm not sure if he has a War Prism, Nate. We see a couple of Zealots running in, but...
And no Prism.
Yeah, no Prism. Attacking with no Prism, that's so scary. That's why we see the Prism on the production tab immediately.
Not taking his chances. I mean, he did get that southeast base finished up, so he can start mining from a more fresh mineral patch. He's retaking the third base. And his army, I feel, is strong enough to hold off any pushes that could come his way.
What is the upgrades currently look like, or what are the upgrades currently look like? ShoWTimE is +2. I would love to see an armor upgrade as well. I think against all these Hydralisks, having an armor upgrade, the first one is very cheap, and you research it relatively quick. I think it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I can't disagree there. We do have a Spire on the way, so Nerchio, can you really do mutas into this? I mean, there's already Phoenix on the map, there's the Stargate, and then Archons kind of Shrek them.
I mean, as long as the Phoenixes don't scout it, it's absolutely possible. And yes, Archons do Shrek Phoenixes, but or excuse me, Mutalisk, but if you are able to get like 14, 16 Mutalisk out, you're going to be able to do so much economic damage. Then most of the time what Protoss players will do is they'll drop a couple cannons and run across the map and try to win. And if you still sit there on 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 lurkers, then there is a chance that Mutalisk will allow you to win this game. So I love the extra Phoenix on the production tab, though. It's like ShoWTimE knows. He knows.
Take no chances. I mean, there's been enough drop play that I think just having those Phoenix out on the map.
Did he lose all of them? I think he still has 2, right?
Yeah, there were still a few dancing around on that left side, but that's also just so nice because he's already killed so many.
I mean, the ShoWTimE is maxed out, man. He's out for blood. He wants to fight right now. Nerchio, his Hydralisk are in the middle of the map for some mysterious reason. So it's nothing but lurkers over here. We're looking at 14 lurkers. That's more than I even thought. The Hydralisk counterattack, I can't believe I'm actually saying this, Nate, but the Hydralisk counterattack is going to be able to maybe snipe this fourth base.
We have 7 Mutalisks on the way to try to deal with the War Prism as well from Nerchio.
Will the lurkers be enough? I mean, ShoWTimE is definitely going to be able to take out the fourth base as well. This game is about to get really, really crazy, guys. It's a very crucial game, obviously. Game 3 in a best of 5. Who's going to take the lead over here?
Yeah, this is going to put one of these 2 players into match point. So this base is going to get completely bowled over by the Archons and the Immortals. The lair getting sniped by the Zealots, while the fourth base does get picked off by these Hydralisks. But do the Hydralisks have enough power to continue pushing in this position?
Well, this base is awfully exposed.
That is pretty wide open. Yep. All right. Throw the deep ball. There's a lot of energy in the Mothership Core. No overcharges being used just yet. but kind of dancing around.
Look at all the Phoenixes, man. These Phoenixes are ready to high-five the Mutalisk, though, and that's exactly what they're doing over here. It's like, nice Muta switch, bro. But I was ready for it. He does end up losing the Stargate, but with 5 Mutalisk, I think he should be okay-ish. I would love to see another photon overcharge there.
Yeah, these photon overcharges working beautifully.
I really felt he should have just shoved those Hydras into that mineral line. That's like 12, 14 probes over there.
Getting the workers off that base would have been really nice. I mean, he's killed 32 probes so far in this position, but you know, Nerchio also has that hatchery in the top right. You never saw that, so I think he's sending drones over there right now. He doesn't see this hatchery either.
That moment,
it's right there, man.
10 Immortals just ignore the hatchery.
You know,
that's great.
At some point, it's like the lore, right? It's like you can just glance to your left and see that thing.
It's still though, you don't attack into this. I think you're gonna lose your observers. That's the biggest problem. He's got like 1 observer. Well, he has 2 observers here, but 5 Corruptors on the way as well. That's very interesting.
I think maybe thinking about using that as a deterrent for the Phoenix, but also to make sure he has something that will only attack air and get the observers.
Or he's gonna snipe a Nexus.
Yeah, well, yeah, the Corruptor's BM ability is also really good.
A couple of Zealots do find that exposed mineral line. That's actually great for ShoWTimE, because you do not want to let Nerchio max out anytime soon, especially not when he already has 14, 15 lurkers sitting at home.
So the biggest issue here for Nerchio then is that he's just kind of spread thin by this, huh?
That base finished up. ShoWTimE is going to be so surprised when he sees it.
Be like, what? I think even Nerchio must be surprised. Like, why, this is the one that you kill?
The thing is, though, what gets so tricky right now for Nerchio is he has to decide, does he want to defend that base? And if he does, he needs to defend it with pretty much everything. But that also completely exposes his initial third base and his natural. So he will lose all of his production facilities again.
Yeah, this is just kind of insane, really. The Phoenix are going to come up here against these Mutas. So the Corruptors are there this time, but there's the overcharges, and that's just going to,
that's it for now, but they will come back. He did rebuild the Stargate, by the way. I just saw an additional Phoenix on the production tab.
Yeah, I think he added on 1 more into that natural expansion. And the army for ShoWTimE does appear to be coming back. I don't know if he's quite aware that that base is there yet.
Mutalisk are finding an opening, though. There are Archons everywhere, but somehow, some way, Nerchio still found an opening, and getting 8 probes is very nice.
And he's going to find this base. He actually sent drones to this base. He's like, he totally won't see this.
I would love to see ShoWTime's face right now.
He's just running all these drones.
Where are those drones going?
They're on they can't go north. He's like, oh, guys, I'll take the long way around. I'll start a hatchery here.
Yeah, let's try it again. I mean, ShoWTimE's army right now, 176. That's very good, but he has a lot of army supply tied up at home, so I don't think he's going to be able to fight anytime soon. He's going to try to deny the fort base once again, though, and I really feel that if you're Nerchio right now, you want to protect this fort base. Ooh, careful there, ShoWTimE.
Man, this is...
he needs to defend the fort.
With this many transfuses available, too, like these queens have quite a bit of healing power for those lurkers.
So the fort bases are going to be incredibly important on both sides. No! Stop that, Nerchio. You're not going to get that base.
What are you doing?
So he's going to intercept the Oracle. Nope, Corruptors are too slow. It would be so nice for Nerchio if he could do something about that fort base of ShoWTimE. Like, there's a whole bunch of probes there. I don't think there are any units there at all, no. Because most of those Archons and stuff, they're stuck at home. He gets another... No cancel?
Yeah, no cancel. Kills another one.
Another one.
And another one. And these Mutas are going to be looking for another probe in that mineral line at the bottom side. There are 4 Stalkers here. There's the Mothership Core, so he can use a very skillful full overcharge.
ShoWTimE is playing out of his mind in the last 3, 4, 5 minutes, man. Like, this all looks easy, but this is not easy at all. He doesn't have the vision that we have, but somehow his units are always in position.
Oh, and the Clump Mutas, the Archon getting some damage.
Like, how many Mutalisks have died already in this game? Like 12? 9. So that's already quite a few. He also picked off... no Corruptors have died yet, but 9 Mutalisks, and he just didn't lose that many probes in the last 2-3 minutes of this game, so very well done. And now he is maxed out, he is on a fort base. Nerchio is slowly but steady trying to get some benefits out of his newly acquired fort base, and he took a hidden expansion on the right side of the map.
Yeah, you got to do something in this position. The Archons left at home are just such a great deterrent to the Mutas. They are just so pitiful.
Yeah, no more energy on this bad boy.
Yeah, 6 energy away from having another overcharge. This probe, this mineral line is a really, really important pick-off for Nerchio to cut off the possible reinforcements. But at the same time, his expansion in the top east is completely undefended.
Yep, all of the lurkers is just too far out of position, so it's going to be a fort base for a fort base mineral line. And I guess as long as ShoWTimE still has plenty of probes, it should be fine.
Both of them have like no income. Like ShoWTimE's money is going up so slowly. He's actually got some links in that mineral line as well, so some more probes.
Oh wow, he's all the way down to 18 probes. Okay, that's definitely a critical. That's a critical. Yeah, you don't. That's when you need life support.
That also makes 172 supply look a little bit more intimidating as well. So he's got the army supply lead in a big way.
I still don't feel that ShoWTimE is ready to win this game anytime. I mean, he has an incredibly scary army, don't get me wrong. But running into... he's going to do it, Nate.
I mean, he tagged with the Oracle Revelation. He has vision on a good number of the lurkers, even if he were to lose his Observer.
I mean, that's like 10 Immortals and
he just procced the barrier
Archons
on a few of them, too, with the Mutas. So the Muta Harass is actually a pretty nice move there.
I don't know, man. Like, all these Queens as well with Transfuse. I think he's going to be able to get a couple lurkers very quickly, but then I think once the Protoss army starts taking damage, I think once one unit dies, everything dies.
This Muta counter-harass has been phenomenal by Nerchio. Just going to pick off even more probes, and ShoWTimE's economy is just completely crippled right now.
Yep, and let's not forget about that hidden base on the right top side of the map. I don't think that's something that ShoWTimE is going to scout anytime soon at all. He's probably wondering how on earth is he still making all these Mutalisks and Corruptors. He does get one Corrupted there. Every unit counts in such a low economic game. But
yeah, and I love this. 7 more Spine Crawlers being added on to that defense back home. Nerchio is just basically saying, look, man, I'm going to harass you forever. He's like, come at me, brah. Come at me.
I mean, he's giving ShoWTimE the idea that he's trying to turtle this one out and slowly but steady eventually maybe try to get a fort base, but he already has a fort base. Oh, ShoWTimE might find it actually, or maybe he did find it. Oh, that's such a big tell!
That rally, though.
Yeah, that's such, you didn't see it yet, right? No, but that's such a big tell.
He's got one stalker going. That's going to be enough to be like, cheeky, cheeky. 8 more probes going down still.
Such a close game.
Bad day to be a probe for ShoWTimE here.
Or a drone. A lot of drones have gone down as well.
A reasonable number of drones have died. 99 probes, Kev. We break the 100 mark. I think we're going to before this game.
ShoWTimE's got 99 problems in the raw probes.
Yeah, that is literally correct. A lot of damage onto these Mutalisks. And the Phoenix come in. He got a fleet beacon, right?
Yes.
But did he get Phoenix range?
I don't think he has it yet.
Okay, yeah, no Phoenix range.
He's been kind of broke though, you know, in his defense.
In his defense, he's...
Oh man, we didn't really emphasize that, but that rally, Nate, I really felt that ShoWTimE...
he should never have found out about that base.
Not at least anytime soon, especially not as long as the Muta count keeps growing. That would just be very intimidating for ShoWTimE to go too far out of position. A big mistake by Nerchio. It's just one of these things like, 2 drones give it away, but that's something that should not have happened.
We broke the 100 mark on probe deaths this game, Roddy. So many probes have died 104. Wow, this is so sick.
I mean, I like it, you know.
Well, you know what? I like it if he doesn't rally drones from there into ShoWTimE's base.
This is one of these games where it takes so much patience and control and, you know, self-control to not attack into the Zerg.
Yeah.
Nate, a lesser man, and I'm looking at myself, would have already tried to end this game. It's like, all right, enough is enough. You know, I've lost enough probes. I'm going for it. And then just like halfway through the attack, you realize, oh, I shouldn't have gone for it. And ShoWTimE is showing incredibly just, you know, self-control here by not doing that.
Yeah, I'm surprised Nerchio's not trying to use his lurkers during, or excuse me, his corruptors during any of these little harassment fleets started to just snipe the building or two. The damage output on the corruptors' caustic spray is ridiculous.
Showing so much
But
composure.
see, when you see 2 drones like that, Roddy, what do you think? He's gonna find it.
Why?
What?
Why?
Why do you do this? You break my heart. You break my heart,
I have the
Nerchio.
feeling that what Nerchio maybe does
He's
is
selecting
he uses
his idle workers.
Yeah, and he doesn't know
And
that
like,
these were idle workers on the other side of the map.
It's not a bad practice to use the idle worker key, but in certain scenarios you need to realize that you shouldn't be using it.
Nope, especially not this late in the game. 1 or 2 drones is not going to make the difference when you're basically sitting on 3 bases that are all mined out. Like, ShoWTimE is going to find it immediately.
It's like, well, thank you for giving away once again.
2 times in a row, Nerchio. That's so unfortunate.
It's pretty upsetting.
All right, so at this point, I feel Nerchio has only 1 shot, and that he's gonna have to move the lurkers, man. He's gonna have to start spreading creep, and he's gonna try to take that fort base, the funny one that the Immortals ignored before. No, actually, he's gonna take the one on the top side. Well, that works too. But now he's gonna have to move the lurkers. You know, there's no more sitting back on your 3 bases because your 3 bases are mined out. You need to start spreading creep. You've got like 14 queens over there, Nerchio, and you need to start moving your lurkers. And yes, that will make your army more exposed.
Oh, these mutas are gonna run into the Archons. Okay, now, okay. Good awareness there for Nerchio. That could have been a bloodbath.
He just really can't afford to lose any more bases. Like the next hatch that Nerchio's building, this one it really has to finish up.
Yeah, these mutas come in, don't really accomplish too much.
That looks like such a sad base, man. It's like terrible things have happened. This reminds me of like IEM Legend, like where's Will Smith, you know?
Yeah, this is like the Protoss campaign. You just show up, it's like all these buildings are unpowered. Reclaim our home world.
1 Archon will.
In this scenario, every unit like that is actually quite significant.
He's gonna
the
try
mutas
to.
are back.
He's gonna take out the fort. I mean, the mutas will have taken out pretty much all the probes. I mean, ShoWTimE has like no probes left, but he's taking the fort base out again at the same time.
Yep.
And that is a very big. What?
How did he not lose?
What?
Oh, the mutas must have shown up and defended it.
Oh wow.
Man, ShoWTimE hasn't been thinking about that base actually. That's a pretty big deal.
I can't believe that happened.
So
That base
Nerchio.
survived.
Yeah. Why? How?
Do you think ShoWTimE knows that that base is still alive?
He must have? I mean, he clearly knows. Like, because he just hasn't been paying attention to that. The mutas have been pulling him back so much.
At least he took out that fort base again, the real fort base.
Yeah, that is a really awkward, uncomfortable position.
What is he sending in the right bottom side?
Just Zealot.
Not a Zealot. You're on a mission, bro.
Mission to end it all. We do have Phoenix range finally being upgraded. He's like, you know what? The mutas aren't going to stop coming.
I am surprised at the amount of Mutalists that Nerchio is able to produce of this like weird tree-based economy that he's been working on forever.
It seems pretty crazy.
Yep.
And he's going to get an Archon pick off inside that natural. Not bad at all, actually. That lone Zealot comes to fight the Queen.
Yeah, and look at the army in the middle of the map. Immediately like, oh my god. Like, I immediately send a whole bunch of units, I think, to deal with it. But ShoWTime's got to be very careful. This is where Mutalisks are king, right? Don't we have Phoenixes? I thought we had Phoenixes too.
Yeah, there were a few, just 4.
That's enough, man. Like 4 Phoenixes with range, you can deal with this. He actually should be able to kill all of these Mutalisks. I think all the mutas will start going down. He needs to protect the probes. They need to go for it. This time you really want to chase them down. Nerchio is broke as a joke. So kill those mutas and you don't have to worry about them anymore.
These drones are on the evac list trying to get out of this base. There's all these immortals here though too.
Yep, the Phoenixes are coming. They're gonna protect the immortal.
And they've got that range upgrade, so these mutas are gonna have some hard times. Could have actually killed that Phoenix.
Yeah, I think all the mutas are dead. I really think all of them are dead over here, and that's bad news for Nerchio because he is super broke. And losing this many Mutalisks is really going to hurt. He's going to try to pick up an Immortal, maybe a second one, but I think that's all he's going to get over here because Stalkers will blink and the Phoenixes with range, they should be able to chase forever.
Yeah, should be able to just constantly work away at these Mutalisks, and this is such a crucial part of Nerchio's army. I don't see how he's going to be able to win the game without him.
Incredible play by ShoWTimE, just refusing to attack.
What a 6 series we've had here, man.
But I mean, he's shown so much composure, and he's just doing such a good job in staying calm and like
back control.
Yeah.
Oh, this is like Protoss player dream.
This is why we get Phoenix range.
It's so sick. So sick.
One of them did get picked up, but look at the supplies now. And at this point, Nerchio is super stuck. He is absolutely broke. Does he even have money for a hedge?
He's just going to go for it.
No, he's just going to go for it. Okay, well.
I mean, I'm pretty sure ShoWTimE wins the base race here easily.
Yeah, I mean, he has like 9 and 10 Immortals, right?
You could just send a probe to the corner of the map. I don't know.
Oh, Nerchio put up one hell of a fight, and he's now going to try to do it one more time with all of these lurkers. I really think he should have just tried to start spreading creep and start using those lurkers to secure an additional base as long as he had one more base. So maybe he just felt that the game would slow down too much if he tries to do that. And at that point, that ShoWTimE would just snowball out of control because he would have too much freedom. I don't know. Oh, well, that's not a bad. That's not the way to start this fight, Nate.
No, not at all. I mean, I guess like ideally you'd want to force this somehow and make it work, but I don't know how you do that. These lurkers are actually going to start to get attacked before they finish burrowing, and the queens are just so far away from everything.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of lurkers and there will be a lot of transfuse, but this Protoss army should never die. The DPS is just way too high. Lurkers will fall, and ShoWTimE takes a 2-1 lead in this super cool best of 5.
Damn, ShoWTimE going up 2-1 here at the WCS Winter Championships. Not too shabby. I think you said it. That's the composure. Both players completely broke, and I really feel like a lot of it has to come down to just trying to get that position with the lurkers to defend the 4th base.
A lesser man would have said, you know, to hell with it, to hell with these mutas, kill my probes, I'm going in. I would have gone in a long time ago. Yes, and then you lose.
A terrible, painful death.
Yes, you see all these spines, you lose your observer, that's like bound to happen, and ShoWTimE just said, no, I will keep on defending, I will keep on defending. It's really funny, because I've always kind of thought that ShoWTimE is a little similar to Hazuops and Zoka. This was Hazuops and Zoka, you know, just like refusing to attack. Yeah. We'll keep on defending, we'll sing this one out, and great game though.
And just to say again, the drone rally costing both ninja bases, and when neither of them got scouted, like that's just like could have turned the game over all on its own.
I mean, a great game like this, you can always look at it in multiple ways. Like it was a great game, but at the same time, Nerchio definitely made a couple of mistakes. You know, why don't move those lurkers around? Why not try to take an extra base? But at the same time, I also understand that he maybe felt the game would have been too slow then and gave too much freedom to ShoWTimE.
Yeah.
So he's like, all right, I'm just gonna try to base trade with the Mudas. But
it's hard to say because as that third base runs out of money, then it's less important to defend with the lurkers. But we're gonna go to a quick break, guys. And we'll be right back in a few minutes with the next game in this best of 5. You're watching the WCS Winter Championships at IEM Katowice.
Welcome back, everybody. The players have had a quick break, and we will be continuing on with that series in a couple of moments' time. But before that, Valdez, our field reporter for the other game that was on Base Trade TV, the Lilbo versus ShoWTimE game, has concluded.
Guys, Lilbo lost in the round of 32. 3-2, sort of was able to defeat him. It started off with a 2-0, went into a 2-1 as we were talking about. Game 4 was on Orbital Shipyard. Lilbo went like 3 base, 11 gates, just kept attacking with a bunch of adepts, upgrades, all that good stuff. I sort of couldn't hold it off, but in Game 5, Runes of Ceres, it was a 3 base expand actually before spawning pool into against like a gate into Nexus into core. So very like economic build to start the day. or the game rather, and then
End the day.
yeah, and then we
end of the
we
day.
had like an adept sentry attack by Lilbo that just failed completely, and then just a Ravager Roach push was enough to end the entire game. It was kind of incredible.
Does it surprise you that Lilbo's gone?
Not when he was put up against Sort of, to be honest. Like, Lilbo was one of, if not the best, like, foreigner during HOTS times, but Legacy of Void hasn't quite clicked with him. Not saying he's bad at all, because mechanically he's very, very gifted, but just within regards to strategies, and Sort of is by no means bad. Like, he's actually really good, very underrated. So going into that matchup, I would have said it was 50-50. So the fact that Sort of came out on top, not a big surprise, but sad for Lilbo.
You don't give the edge to Lilbo with all the practice you've been putting in since November of last year?
For Legacy of the Void?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Nothing to say about that. Thompson?
Control. All right, it's time to continue on, of course, with our main game, our highlight game. It is, of course, Nerchio versus ShoWTimE with the #1 StarCraft duo in StarCraft 2.
#1 StarCraft stream, Nathaniel.
Wow, thank you guys so much. Like I said, just great to hear the panel just giving their honest opinions on everything. And that has been a good series so far. Great games. You guys in the chat have literally been amazing as well. Great comments and great to hear Richard Mechanics Bergman actually managing to go so far.
I mean, especially because actually Lilbo went up against Sort of in WCS Challenger, I think Season 3 last year. And I watched those series. I casted it with Kalaris back then, and it was a very decisive 3-0 for Lilbo. And I was like, man, that must feel really bad for Sort of. Well, he got his sweet revenge today in a brand new game. This series, however, Nate, is not over yet, but it has been amazing so far.
Oh yeah, and it is time to carry on as we are on Laralac Crest. In the bottom right position, we have the red Protoss player. He is ShoWTimE.
And of course, on the left top side of Lateral Crest, the #1 ranked player in the Team Liquid Power rankings. He used to represent Acer. Now it is Euronics. It is Nerchio. Has his work cut out for him, man.
Yeah, man. This is, and he's still doing it,
Yeah,
by the way. This gas and the pool. I mean, if he had been up 2-0, I'd be like, Rodney, this was a brilliant mind game. But then it's like, no, it feels like he's actually putting himself behind.
Yeah. I mean, like, he's not doing it, obviously, of like 13 or 14 drones. So, like, it is not super uneconomic, but there is no way you can ever compare this to a 3-hatch before pool, or at least, a hatch first and then into pool and gas. This really does set him back a little bit, and ShoWTimE is going to scout, and he's going to see the same thing as he has been seeing. He can actually block this, and that would be very annoying already. Just keep it here. Yeah, don't fall for that trick. I would no, don't fall for it. I would keep the probe here all the time if I was ShoWTimE, because even though Zerg players can pretend they want to take that other base, they don't want to take the other base, because the rally from the main to the turret
is a long way.
Yeah, that's a pretty long rally. So I really think ShoWTimE should have kept the probe here. Of course, you would like to see, how many links are being sent across the map. It's always tempting to take a sneak peek into the main, but I think if you can block the natural any day.
Yeah,
be that annoying Zerg.
Be as
or Protoss.
annoying as you possibly can. You only get so many chances to make people hate you.
Make that probe pesky.
Yeah. Do some cheeky pylon block maybe if you're feeling frisky.
Yeah, man. And then when the pylon almost dies, that's when you wipe in the cybernetic score.
That I haven't seen in a while.
Yeah,
That was so frustrating.
Litut likes to do it. I do.
I actually started thinking about plays like that on Prion, where it's like your naturals a goal. It's like, is the really fast block? I feel like if you force him to take another base, it's actually so good.
Yep. I think you're spot on, Nate. I 100% agree with you. Of course, if you spend those resources on the other side of the map, there is a chance that a lot of links and roaches will be produced and maybe just rallied across the map, and then it's going to be difficult to hold.
We are finally seeing some other usage of this fast gas. It is a roach horn on 2 bases now. Well, really, that one for natural just finishing for
cross map. I mean, I do like roach rushes on Lateral Crest. I think they're incredibly difficult to defend. Don't get me wrong, because of this super wide open ramp that Funk is already showing us. I do love these 2 gates, by the way. It is like the welcome to the gates of hell, or these 2 pylons, I should say.
You can build some beautiful walls in Legacy of the Void.
So this does look very intimidating, but cross map, as much as I love the roach push here, and I hate to play against it because I do play Protoss, but I do love it as a Zerg player, or from a Zerg point of view. Cross map Laralac, that's when I'm not 100% sure about it anymore.
You've got a long way to go to put this sort of pressure on, and we do have a Stargate finishing up pretty soon.
It will be hard to scout, of course. Does ShoWTimE have an adept this game? He doesn't, right? Yes.
Well, he's got 2.
He's probably not going to send him across the map. Mothership Core is out already. He's going to see if he spots something unusual. One link, that's not scary. And then he's going to cancel it. So, super all in here. Nerchio's putting it all on the line. In game 4, if this fails, he is out of a chance to win $6,000. He's making a Phoenix. That's not going to help him. He needs to cancel that. Or at least maybe let one finish, and then he needs a Void Ray. Wow, he got so close to scouting it, Nate. He needs a Void Ray. He needs multiple pylons to keep this Stargate powered and then make a Void Ray. That's his only hope of holding. No, he's getting so unlucky.
He just has absolutely no idea. Here come the roaches. You got a few limbs as well. And with that Ravager, immediately drop the corrosive bile on the pylon, can unpower that Stargate. That one Ravager just take a lot of damage. No focus fire on the pylon here just yet, it looks like, though.
Yeah, but he unpowered. He unpowered 2 gateways and he unpowered the Stargate as well. So how on earth is ShoWTimE supposed to defend this? I think he's dead.
No, there's actually nothing here. That's a great point. It's a fantastic analysis. He has no pylons. He can't build anything, and he cancels the last one. So that's it. He has no production.
Yep. I mean, he's trying to hang on there. Of course, if I was Nerchio,
probes can be inspired, but I don't think that gives them what they need to make their
everything.
dreams.
Nothing is powered right now. Not a single gateway production anymore for ShoWTimE. Dropping below 34 supply. And
Talk about a power outage, Roddy.
Oof.
Nerchio ties the series up.
You know, the funny thing is, if this would have been the first time that he scouted this opening from Nerchio, then I really think that ShoWTimE would have played maybe a little bit different, maybe a little bit more cautious.
Yeah.
But since he scouted it 4 games in a row, you can't expect.
We already talked about how early on, he did the defensive 3 gateway. He was like, okay, well, I just won't lose to this sort of pressure. That's totally fine. But then now he's like so used to. He's like, oh yeah, I guess you've kind of been doing this, but you haven't actually done anything with it, and now you die.
Yep. I mean, Laralac Crest, definitely a difficult ramp to hold, and he got unfortunate. Sometimes I feel, even though you've got very few units as Protoss early on, it might still be worth it to send that one adept across the map, you know?
Because get some vision, get some idea of what your opponent is up to.
If he spots those roaches, when those roaches leave the Zerg main base, it's a super easy hold for Protoss. You chrono boost out of Void Ray, you drop 2 extra pylons, and you're like, yes, baby, round of 16, here we come. It would have been it. It all comes down to scouting. Very risky what Nerchio did there. Extremely risky. Almost gives me the idea that he's not super confident in playing against ShoWTimE right now.
It's just weird when we consider how the series started with that really sharp game #1 victory. He's like, okay, Nerchio showed up to play. He's looking great. He's looking phenomenal. And now map number 5. What are the possible maps that we can be playing on? Arena.
Central Protocol, not really likely.
Probably vetoed.
And then we haven't seen, have we seen Dusk Towers?
I don't think so.
Do you think that Nerchio would veto Dusk Towers? I think Nerchio would kind of be the guy that vetoes Arena.
I mean, some Zerg players will try to veto the most standard maps just to mess with you, right?
But I mean, that's when I think he should have vetoed Orbital, but he didn't. Maybe he knows something on Orbital that we don't know. Either way, we're about to find out. Is it going to be Arena or is it going to be Dusk Tower? It has to be one of those two. I really don't see the final game being played on Central Protocol, as I know that ShoWTimE, just like most Protoss players out there, is not a very big fan of Central Protocol. Even though it took a little bit better without those back rocks,
I mean,
it's still rough.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that haven't been super big fans of that map just because of the way that. I mean, I'll tell you what, man. As a Terran player, like you spawn the close, horizontal spawns, and you're just like, okay, this is the best map ever for Reaper cheese, and then that's most of your games there. So,
I'm ready, man.
I think I'm very excited to see just how exactly this series finishes up, because we had very long standard macro games, the back and forth, the Mutalisks, the Lurker Turtle, and then we just had our first real cheddar basically of the series.
I think the game on Runes of Ceres is probably my favorite game of the tournament so far, just because of the amazing amount of discipline and self-control that ShoWTimE showed there. I can keep repeating myself over and over again, but it is so incredibly hard not to just say to hell with it, I'm attacking into your Lurker contain, I'm done with all of this, I don't want to chase Mutalisk anymore, but he didn't. That was an awesome game by ShoWTimE.
Yeah, so we are loaded in to the final map of this best of 5. In the northwest position of Arena, we have the Red Protoss ShoWTimE.
Game 5, over $6,000 best of 5 is going to be played on the Arena. All right, Nate. This is why I'm sometimes happy I'm sitting behind the desk, because I would not be able to contain my nerves at all. Over here on the left bottom side of the map, we're looking at the main base of the hometown hero. It is Nerchio. And even Nerchio, as experienced as he is, and the crazy amount of money that he has won throughout his career, even he must be feeling the nerves now.
Yeah, Yeah, this is just such an intense moment, right? All this money on the line right here, and Arena being a map that's kind of been favoring the cheeky plays from Zergs, where that queen drop build that you talked about earlier on Ruins of Ceres is, it's a staple we've seen so many times. I mean, Terrans see it. Everybody's just been kind of, feeling the pain of the Zerg creativity on this map.
I mean, I think ShoWTimE could block this, and do not fall for this. He's done this before. Don't chase it. Yeah, you see, he's keeping this other drone. Like, he wants you to chase it, but he actually just wants to take this base ShoWTimE. And I think this is something he already could have done on lateral. Like, just try to block this for as long as you can. Well, he is taking it this time. All right. So, but still, that's so far away. Like, if I play Zerg, Nate, I'm not happy with this. Look at the rally point. If you want to transfer drones from the main base to that base, it just takes forever. You lose so much potential income.
Unless you use that hatch as a macro hatch, Roddy. And he goes for some super cheesy play.
A Roach Ravager again.
I'm going to keep my eye on his gas count. If he's going to keep mining that, man, for a couple of Overlords and then 3 Queens. It happens often enough on this map.
As ShoWTimE on this map, on the arena, you don't want to play too greedy. You don't want to be a stubborn Protoss. You always chrono boost out a gateway unit, probably multiple. And even if you want to go Stargate, I think it would be very, very, very wise to go 3-gate into Stargate.
Yeah. There's no reason to put yourself at that big risk, considering that the longer games have actually been working out in his favor in this series. And he comes next to the natural, and he's like, okay, still just 2 hatches.
So if you scout this right now, like, he tries so hard to scout something. He sees that the natural has not been retaken, so it's not a 3-hatch Zerg play yet. And then you also see a queen denying your scout. I'd be paranoid. There's no way I drop a tech building right now. I go at least 3 gateways, and I try to chrono boost out gateway units or try to chrono boost out warp gate technology. I play as safe as one man could possibly be.
And the interesting thing here is we still actually have quite a bit of gas now for Nerchio, so he actually has the setup that he would need to go for something like a fast drop, but now he's cut his gas income, but just hasn't done anything with it.
I think he's just going to macro, but he did such a good job in freaking ShoWTimE out, like sometimes you really have to think into the mind of the player, or you have to put yourself in the shoes of the player. And right now, if I'm ShoWTimE, I would do the exact same thing as he's been doing.
He really has gone inside. Look, he's even pylon blocking the bridge now as well.
Of course, he's super
so he
paranoid.
can't go across the center.
And you can't blame him. I would feel the same way. He scouted and he barely missed that hatchery. And then he also saw the queen denying his probe scout. Well, if he would get all in and he would have gone 1-gate Stargate, we would be the first people here behind the desk saying, how could you do that, man? Like, it was so obvious. He was trying to deny your scout. So a lot of mind games being played over here. And Nerchio definitely getting the better hand of them in game number 5.
Yep, Roach Warren is coming in now, so the possibility for those Ravagers to pop up is also going to be very real. Do you think Nerchio has to make a play pre-lair, or can he just chill from this position?
I think he can chill because ShoWTimE's build is very slow. Like, it's a 3. This is like Wings of Liberty slow, pretty much. It's like, let's go 3 gateways and then like saturate the natural, and then you can drop something else. Like, there's a reason why we don't play like that anymore, because it just does not allow Protoss to do a whole lot of cool stuff. I guess the only thing you could do is maybe warp in a bunch of gateway units, run across the map with your mothership core, but I think going across the map with your mothership core, it feels so, it feels so unpleasant.
Yeah. So we do have
7
roaches.
Yeah.
7 that's pushing.
And multiple queens. Maybe this is going to be, I think this is going to be pre-layer tech. He's going to go all out. Nerchio's going to go for another all-in. This is going to be nothing but queens, roaches, and maybe a couple Ravagers, and then Zerglings.
Yeah, he's got that creep out towards the center of the bridge
what a great scout. This is a phenomenal scout. He scouts all these roaches. He's going to see that this base is not saturated, and now ShoWTimE absolutely knows. And oh, wow. And Nerchio goes back to droning after he got scouted.
All right. Interesting life choices here.
3 more gateways, so ShoWTimE is going to be on 6-gate Stargate.
It's also bolstering his wall as well. It's going to prevent the roaches from getting super close to it.
Yeah, this is a super full wall off.
Yeah.
Oh man, Nerchio is doing this so well. He's playing phenomenal mind games. He's still making it look like he really wants to continue with this all-in. But even if he doesn't do the all-in now, I like his position, Nate, because ShoWTimE is locked into 2 bases and he's sitting on 6-gate Stargate, no Forge, no Twilight, no Robo. Blah. As a Protoss player, I can only think blah. That's just not nice. That's all-in material.
He's really sold him like this this sordid story about a basically 2-base Zerg all-in, but that's not what's happening at all. Drones on the way, lair on the way.
Take a look at the income count real quick. 44 against 47, so that is not phenomenal for Nerchio. ShoWTimE needs to immediately transition out of whatever he was doing. He needs to go up to 3 bases.
absolutely imperative. He does have a probe out there, so he will be able to do that.
Oh, he kills a gateway. I would have rather killed the pylon.
Huh?
I guess he feels like he's got plenty of gateways.
It's like, I don't need this many gateways.
Yeah. All right, well, this is a good call by ShoWTimE, and both players are actually playing really well. This is one of these games where not too much has happened yet, but I'm loving it, Nate, because they're playing so much better, you know, than what I see on my own in my own games. They're just making very mature decisions.
Yeah, they're just kind of like really good read, react, respond, follow up, and then both players doing that kind of back and forth to each other. And Nerchio is the one that's trying to lead the mind game play here, but you know, ShoWTimE's not putting himself in too bad a spot either.
I'm really loving it. Like games like this, I watch with a smile on my face, even when not too much happens. I just feel like, wow, both these guys are just doing so well. Like, I have access to all the numbers and we see everything, no fog of war. And these players, they work with limited information and they do the exact same things that I would have done in those scenarios. And I think that's just super cool to see, you know, or like what any StarCraft fan thinks is the right thing to do at this point when you see everything, but these players are doing it, and that's awesome. Phoenixes, this is all very similar to Runes of Ceres, you know, where at first it doesn't look all that good for ShoWTimE, but then suddenly it's like, well, these Phoenixes, the Phoenix count is going to snowball out of control. The Hydralisk then is late. So that is the one thing that ShoWTimE had going for himself. And I'm super happy to see that he didn't stop Phoenix production. I think it's super smart, Nate.
Yeah, he's actually really able to get quite a bit of work done here. Does lose one Phoenix at last. And we do have some Hydras on the way. But that double robotics facility, he's been loving those Immortals.
Yep, he loves the double robo. This is going to be the good old double robo Archon charge slot into, or against Hydralisk, Roaches, Lurkers. And it will all come down to engagements. And of course multitasking as well. Harass is going to be very important. I love this quick forward base by Nerchio. It's really funny because Arena is the map with the shortest rush distance since pretty much Steps of War, or maybe ever. But at the same time, it is very easy to just keep on expanding because you expand so far away from your opponent's main base that now how are you supposed to attack this forward base as a Protoss?
Now you got to get through that area where the creep is spread in the center as well first, by where the rocks were.
Did you see this image the other day of this map basically being a marauder?
Marauder, yeah. It looks like a dude if you turn sideways.
Yeah, that's awesome.
People pay way too close attention to these things.
I mean, maybe they...
Maybe they're just too passionate. You know? It's like I actually just so much passion when I'm not playing StarCraft. I'm just looking at the maps and trying to think about like constellations. You know?
I flip my monitor around. It's like, that map looks like something, and he sees it and he connects the dots and he's like, all right, looks like a marauder.
It's like, oh, I saw Abraham Lincoln in my toast, man. This is it. I'm gonna win the lottery.
All right, Nerchio is gonna try this game, by the way. Something I've mentioned before, Nate. Creep spread. This time there's a lot of creep spread. There is also a lot of Hydralisk. 16 of them already. I think a couple of Lurkers as well, or at least a couple of Lurkers will be morphing. I think 5 of them are currently morphing. This looks scary, man. I'm definitely worried for ShoWTimE. Will he have enough firepower to deal with this? And these queens, they definitely make this so much more tricky. And I love the Spore Crawler as well. You got to be so careful. Nobody wants to lose his observer. I don't even think there is a single observer out right now. Man, this is hard. This is a very hard one to call. It's so close when it comes to the supplies.
Yeah, and especially as you mentioned, those queens that he built so early on in this game now have stacked up a lot of energy, so the number of transfuses available is pretty insane too.
And the Spore Crawl also helps against the Phoenixes, by the way. Oh, you gotta be careful, you want to keep those Phoenixes alive. Lifting up Lurkers is so important.
Well,
one Archon misrallied.
Not good.
Okay.
Decent force field cuts off a few Hydras and a Ravager.
Needs more though, just one Hydra in the end. Oh god, if ShoWTimE loses that base against a 4-base Nerchio, I do love this counterattack, that's very nice, because all of the units from Nerchio, and when I say all, I mean like every queen as well, is on the other side of the map. It will all come down to this, Nate. Who makes it through the round of 32? Who will pick up $6,000 at least?
I love that siege position, though, by the Lurkers. Like, you can't just run straight into this. You have to go around, and you're going to take a shot or two for free from the Lurkers because of that. He's going to lose the third base 100%.
But he's buying a lot of time. I mean, eventually he's going to have to break this. There's no way around it. But I do feel sometimes buying time and sacrificing a base is better than taking a horrible fight and losing the game. But he needs Archons, though. I think without Archons... Oh, no. Yeah, this is such an annoying position to engage into.
He just lost the barrier on a few of his Immortals as well now, so... He's going to be a little bit more limited in terms of how long he has to wait until he can actually take a fight.
Man, Nerchio was down. It almost looked like he was down and out after that game of Runes of Ceres, but now suddenly in Game 5 on the arena, Nerchio's looking hella good. ShoWTimE is just trying to squeeze out a few more units, and then he knows that the clock is ticking. He needs to take a fight real soon after losing that base, Nate.
Yeah, I mean, this is just I mean, I guess pushing too far without the lurkers can make things complicated. There's a couple force fields available. Okay, does grab a Ravager there and a Roach or a Hydra or two. But as long as you can keep inching forward here with the lurker backbone, I guess, does Nerchio doesn't even really need to finish him off right now? No, because he's got four bases.
Yeah,
so
he's got 4 bases against
just starve him out. He's got him in a sleeper hold.
Normally you want to fight lurkers while they're running so you can get nice and close to them. Running into lurkers, that's something in general we say you don't do as a Protoss player. You know, don't run into lurkers, but sometimes you don't have a choice, Nate. And I think ShoWTimE is just going to try to max out, maybe wait for his +2 attack and then go for it. But there's such little space for him to get the perfect engagement. I do like the Observer. The Observer sees that those lurkers are very exposed. He's going to try, but he has a couple Phoenixes still, and I kind of feel just try to keep those lurkers exposed and maybe lift them up, and or maybe just fight all the way over here on the south side and ignore those 5 lurkers. Like, that's a lot of supply that would not be participating in a fight if it happens over here on the south side of our screen.
Yeah, I mean, this is just an uncomfortable position to be in. Like, you're not attacking without getting hit from every angle.
Look at the supply, though. It is doable. Take a look at Army supply, 135 against 127. It's going to be very hard. Feedbacks would be amazing. He does have high Templars, but he's going to try to fight. This is it, Nate. This is ShoWTimE's tournament live.
He's going to push right on through. The Zealots are charging forward to lift up on a good number of the lurkers and the Queens on the north side. The south side lurkers have been destroyed. There's still a few in the back right side. All of these Immortals are spread out perfectly, though, Kev.
The Observer died, though. The Observer died to the Spore Crawler, and that's going to force ShoWTimE to disengage, and he does not want to disengage. He's finally going to drop a couple of feedbacks. That was very nice, picking up those Queens immediately, but even when this looks like trading, this is not trading because Nerchio is mining way more money than ShoWTimE.
Yeah, I mean, replacing that army is not going to happen for ShoWTimE if Nerchio is able to just get a little bit more time to remax now.
Okay, he's going to try to do it one more time, or he's going to try to snipe bases.
He's going to go for the YOLO base trade? Okay, well, that's one way to do it, I guess.
He's got small oversaturation, by the way.
That Spore Crawler got in our way.
Alright, this is going to reposition everything. I mean, now he's super deep on creep as well. That makes things very, very scary. He doesn't really have anything that's great against Hydralisk. If I was Nerchio right now, I'd make nothing but Hydralisk, because Immortals are great, but exposed Immortals, Jeff said it, suddenly they're not all that great anymore, and a couple of these Immortals are very, very low
and
HP.
He's going to bring the drones as well to try to help finish off this force. Nerchio knows if he can just destroy this army, he will advance on and eliminate ShoWTimE. The Queens have the arc on the Immortals. They're barely hanging in there, but the supply is dropping pretty fast for both players. The Phoenix also getting their weight worth in gold. Yeah. The Lurkers need to move up a little bit.
But I just feel that ShoWTimE cannot reinforce his army anymore. I mean, the Immortals are great, but the Queens still healing each other. A couple of Zealots run in, but there are still a few Lurkers, and even though this is ridiculously close, can these Immortals... No, it's not possible, right, Nate?
I don't think so. I mean, there's the Observer. He's going to come in on top. There's 3 Lurkers left, 2 Lurkers remaining, 1 Lurker, and then the recall. But the Mothership Core gets sniped. The Immortals are trapped.
Well, I guess that is it then. I mean, 74 supply remaining, but of what? That's it. GG.
Nerchio advances 3-2 over the German player ShoWTimE.
This series definitely lived up to the expectation and the hype that everybody gave it. Everyone looking at the round of 32 bracket said like, wow, Nerchio ShoWTimE, that's going to be one hell of a match. And it was one hell of a match.
It lived up to the hype. Just intense games all around.
And the perfect play out for a best of 5. You know, a 1-0 into a 1-2 into a 3-2. Like, it doesn't really get any better than that. That's how you write scripts, you know.
Yeah, that was just really, really intense. And then ShoWTimE just kind of, you're locked in on 2 bases. Your opponent's got 4. You're like, well, I guess I'm just going to try to ford the river here by going down the center of the map. And boat overturned, as it were. So, great series there by ShoWTimE. Love to hear what the guys at the desk have to say about that series.
Thank you very much, Nathanius and Rotterdam. And yes, Nerchio goes through 3 games to 2. An entertaining series.
Yeah.
A nail-biter, some may say.
Very close, and I think that's what a lot of people were hoping for. I love what Kevin and Nate were talking about, a lot of mind games, the cheese coming out from Nerchio, but even in the live report threads they were talking about it, it's really important to note how much Nerchio was setting up that all-in by playing it uber safe in the 3 games prior, but also ShoWTimE showing the exact same composition, very similar openings, and anytime you do that, you're setting yourself up for a guy to do some cheese like that. So very cool back and forth between the two, and great army control. It ends with exactly the same army composition that we've seen throughout the entire series, but just much better positioning. And it's kind of fun to watch this because it gives me a lot of ideas. I mean, we've all seen the Mass Immortals. Huck was doing it earlier as well. But using the Phoenix to pick up the Lurkers to kind of take the bite out of the defensive stance is a really cool idea. Just wasn't cool enough, I guess.
Yeah, I really actually liked the composition, but I would have loved to see some disruptors in there. I mean,
Liked it but didn't love it. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it was alright for me, but I feel like it could have been a little bit better. There were times, especially in that last game, where all the lurkers were bunched up. You get a couple of disruptor shots out there. You at least force them to unburrow. There were, like, what, 9, 10 queens in that army? Queens are very hard to get away from that. I mean, before you get a lot of creep over there, and even then, at least you're pushing them back, buying yourself some more time. Either way, it was a very hard spot towards that third base on the fifth game. I love the way that Nerchio just like slowly suffocated him. And I really think he does deserve the series.
One really cool moment about that last game too, like the counterattack, I thought that was a last-ditch effort, but the supplies, at one point, ShoWTimE was actually quite a little bit ahead, 120 to 110, and yeah, ridiculously close, and that's what you expect from two of the best, absolute best in Europe as well. Sad to see ShoWTimE go out, but Nerchio, he is really scary in that matchup.
Yeah, it's 2 out of 2 for Poland now as well, which is obviously very good for the tournament, very good for all the viewers that are going to be coming shortly as well.
That Poland magic, man, it cannot be underrated.
Yeah, and they're getting one closer spot. One more game. If they win, they'll be playing, of course, in the cinema for the players on Friday. But yeah, that's it for us for now, as we try to find Red Eye. Red Eye, Red Eye, Red Eye. Are you there?
Beep. Yes, welcome to the International Space Station. I am here, Sean, yes. I don't know, it's like the background or something. Apparently it's the Intel Extreme Masters, but it does look like the ISS and I'm sort of floating around the planet.
And you've got a couple of people with you. It's like watching Interstellar again.
I do have more people with me. Thank you very much, Sean, and to the desk as well. Welcome to Pro Corner to Nerchio. Congratulations on an incredible win. I want to ask you first off, before we talk about what that series was like, because it was mind-blowing for us to watch. God knows what it was like for you in the booth. But you see the draw, you see the bracket, you look down it and you think, oh, why did I get ShoWTimE? I mean, it was the hardest draw in the round, wasn't it?
Maybe not the hardest. There's like Hydra Pole that I wouldn't like to play against. Okay. But it's probably one of the hardest, because I think my versus Terran and versus Zerg are better matchups than versus Protoss. And ShoWTimE is very solid Protoss as well. It was kind of hard to prepare. I mean, I also don't like when I know my opponent 1 week before, Yeah. I prefer it to be like, okay, we play in 5 minutes against this guy. Yeah. And yeah, I was afraid, ShoWTimE would prepare a lot for just me, because this was a match for quite a lot of money.
Yeah, absolutely. $6,000 on the line as well. So if you secured that, that's all good now. You can relax a little bit now. Pressure's off a little bit. But now you've got to start looking through the bracket. And it's looking quite good for you, isn't it, the bracket? You could end up with, like, Mana in the quarters. That's an easy game. Move on to semis.
Actually, yeah. I was only afraid of ShoWTimE. Right. And I think sort of won,
yeah,
right?
I did. Yeah, sort of won, yeah.
So I think in best of 5 I should be a big favorite. But actually sort of is quite good as well. So it's not like I underestimate him. I knew that when I beat ShoWTimE, I will beat Lilbo as well. But well, now it's sort of. So we will see, I guess. Okay. I feel confident with my ZvZ. And then, well, I think, yeah. And then the next match will be probably the easiest one. If it comes, if I manage to win versus Sordo.
In front of a Polish crowd with 2 Polish players playing as well. So that would be great, wouldn't it?
Yeah, probably. I mean, they will probably prefer to watch us in the finals, but I guess that will be fine as well. And also there is Elazar playing in
Elazar is in the lower bracket as well, so we'll see how he gets on against Bly a little bit later on. I want to talk about the match a little bit, because it was a crazy match to watch for us. What was it like from in the booth? You win the Protoss map, right? So that's not supposed to happen, and then you lose the Zerg map. That's not supposed to happen. What's going on in there?
So, well, before the tournament, I prepared quite a lot. And I went through like the veto process, and it was pretty much based. I knew because he had the higher seed, so he could pick who picks first map and who vetoes first. So basically, I knew that I was afraid of the first 3 maps the most probably, because I knew that he will pick the first map, which will be Protoss map. The second map, well, if I don't win the second map, which should be mine, then the third map is his as well, and then it could end in 3-0. But well. Yeah, I mean, I knew also that he'll prepare on Prime Terraces and that he'll veto Central Protocol. So that was good for me, but I don't know. In theory, it's a good map for Zerg Prime Terraces, but I wasn't feeling so confident. And on the other hand, I knew Orbital Shipyard might be a pretty important map in the series. So I played, I don't know, like 30 games only on that map against Protoss in custom games, except like, you know, the typical ladder or something. So, well, I didn't play that well anyway, since he caught my lurkers out of position, but it worked out.
It did work out.
I have to ask real quickly, just because I'm very curious, and I really didn't get an answer earlier when we asked off camera, but how did it feel playing on Arena for $6,000?
Actually,
I mean, towards the end of that game, you pretty much sealed the deal, but up until that point, how did you feel about that one?
So, in theory, it should be a really bad map, and I should be really stressed. But I think I had quite a mind lead, you know, after this all-in on the previous map.
Yeah.
Since, well, I prepared this 17-17 that I played basically every game. And, well, on Orbital, I think he was afraid of it. And then he played, like, typical games. And then on Larry Luck, he underestimated it because he wasn't afraid after the early games. And then on Arena, he probably had no clue what to do.
So you started confident on Arena as the game started before, like.
Yeah, I think I was confident on that map. So because he had to be afraid of the maybe even same all-in or something else. And then I played macro, so he was a little bit behind, and I hit a nice timing as well.
I would have probably messed my pants, so that's actually really impressive that you could have that mental composure in that final map.
I mean, yeah, it was the final map, but I mean, you have nothing to lose, right? It's just one map.
Except for $6,000, but
I mean,
it's just $6,000. I mean, it's nothing to you.
Yeah, big money esports.
Yeah,
not a problem.
Easy.
I mean, nothing to lose in terms of like. Okay, I mean, if I lose, I go out with nothing. So let's just do my best, you know.
I understand.
I like the fact that that's less pressure, though, isn't it?
It's a good
Is
mentality.
that how you're preparing mentally? You're thinking, it's okay, I'm all right, I'm still here.
Sometimes yes, but I wasn't so confident against ShoWTimE still. So like
all right, let me ask you this then. How confident are you now of going the whole way? Because a lot of people have got you down as their favourite to win the whole thing.
Right now, I'm much more confident. Yeah,
that's good.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Nerchio. Congratulations on the win. We'll see you in the round of 16.
Thanks.
And look forward to seeing how he fares in the round of 16, which, don't forget, starts tomorrow. For now, though, let's head back to the desk for more with Sean and the boys.
Thank you very much, Red Eye.